As the Actuarial Foundation continues to further its mission to develop, fund, and execute education, scholarship, and research programs that serve the public and the profession by harnessing the talents and resources of actuaries, the ACLI and SOA have collaborated to jointly host the Actuarial Foundation's Insurance Legends Golf Classic and Award presentation in conjunction with the Refocus Conference. In order to underscore the importance of developing industry leaders for tomorrow, this year's Insurance Legends Award presentation will continue the tradition of recognizing those outstanding individuals. Today's inductees join those previously honored, whose leadership, intellect, and personal achievements soar above and beyond the ordinary, making lasting contributions to the insurance community and to society. We continue to express our gratitude to these individuals. And now, the Actuarial Foundation is honored to present our 2013 Insurance Legends.
Bob Shapiro is probably the clearest thinking person I've ever met in business, and I've met thousands. Bob, first and foremost, is a great family man. His wife, Karen, Bob has 5 children. Karen and he do a great deal of travel. When they first met, she was a world traveler. Bob, because of Karen, has actually not only walked among the gorillas in Uganda, but actually bumped into one. He went kayaking through the caves of Vietnam, and that was the same trip that he actually fell into a rice paddy and almost drowned. They have tended to go to very, very unique, out-of-the-way places, and they do a great deal with their grandkids as well. Bob grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and was a very bright student in high school. He went to University of Wisconsin. He graduated and joined Northwestern Mutual as an actuarial student in the early 70s. He then moved after a year with Northwestern Mutual and joined Milliman and Robertson in their Milwaukee office, and basically headed that office for many years. I met Bob actually in the early 70s. I, at that time, was conducting a search project for Towers Perrin, and we were looking for someone to build and head up their new insurance practice. He left after 5 years to join Merrill Lynch, where he was a merger and acquisitions specialist for Merrill. Bob is fiercely, and I want to emphasize the word fiercely, independent. Thus, he went into his own firm 27 years ago because of his need to be an independent thinker. He's a tremendous self-starter. He has wonderful client relationships, and he has an unusual mix of talents as an actuary, as a human being, as a father, as a leader, and as a friend. He's quite an extraordinary individual. Bob was one of the founding members of the Actuarial Foundation, along with Ian Rowland and John O'Connor and some others. It was his vision at the time to really try to build a very successful educational program to teach inner city children the benefits of having great math skills. Bob was very apparent at meetings. He was always on programs for the society early on. He did a lot of public speaking. He did an awful lot of writing, a lot of articles. So it was pretty easy to identify him as someone who was definitely a leader in the industry. Even in his late 20s and 30s, he was considered one of the very best. He was always considered a futurist. He was very involved in getting into social insurance and policy, as well as public finance, which is where he spends a great deal of his time right now. Bob most recently was elected to the Board of Trustees for the American College. He also was a CLU, which was an unusual designation for an FSA. For him to be on the board of the American College is quite a compliment to him, because I think there's only been a few actuaries ever to be asked to be on that board. Bob Shapiro is unquestionably an insurance legend in the industry. He is not only recognized by his peers as a Renaissance person, as a trusted advisor, as a leader to organizations, both in the organizations that he served in leadership roles, but also somebody who was a visionary. His greatest strength is being a visionary, a futurist, being a clear thinker, and being a very respected advisor to everyone in the industry. No one has put more toward the profession over the 40 years he's been involved in the actuarial profession than Bob Shapiro. Bob, if anybody is deserving of this award, it is you. You've been a great leader to the industry and to your organizations. You've been a great mentor to many, and you've been a great friend to all of us. But especially, you've been a great friend to me. Congratulations, and thank you.
Greig was born in the summer of 1951, grew up in Redford Township, which is about 15 miles northwest of Detroit. He's the oldest in his family. His mom was a homemaker, and his dad was a tool and die guy in a factory. Greig graduated from high school, was accepted at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. 4 years later, had graduated with a Bachelor in Science degree in mathematics, had enrolled in a PhD program at the University of Illinois. So while he was at the University of Illinois, he met his future wife, Claire. They were married in 1974, and today there are 4 children and 5 grandchildren, with a 6th on the way. In 1975, Greig received his master's. He joined the United Companies in Chicago, Illinois, as an actuarial student. During the next several years, he pursued and passed exams. The story goes, the train rides in the morning and the evenings, that was when he studied, busy at home with his wife Claire and a growing family, and there was little or no time to study when he was at home. He became a Fellow of the Society of Actuaries in 1979. Greig joined General American Life Insurance Company as a product development actuary in the fall of that year. In 1980, Greig was asked to help out in General American's brand new reinsurance operation. Greig was the first actuary working on both product and valuation assignments. Very quickly, his talent was recognized. We fast forward from 1980 to 1986. A separate reinsurance division was formed at General American. Greig was in charge. He was an executive vice president, and he was 34 years old. At the end of 1993, RGA's revenues were slightly above $400 million, and our net income was $34 million. We ended 2011 with revenues approaching $10 billion and net income in excess of $500 million. Based on the performance of RGA alone, Greig is among the legends in the business. There are a number of things that we admire a great deal about Greig. The first is simply a world-class intellect. He's curious about every topic. I've heard him talk about, most recently, the Higgs boson in physics. I suspect that at the time, those people at General American who chose him at 34 to run the reinsurance division saw that as well. Greig very well may be one of the kindest people I've met in my entire life. I'm reminded of a quote from Mark Twain where he said, "Kindness is the language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see." He does find time to work with organizations in the community. RGA and Greig are a huge supporter of the United Way, of Operation Food Search, which is an effort for clothing and food donations. Greig has been involved with Memory Care Home Solutions, which supports the caregivers of Alzheimer's patients. He created a foundation in St. Louis, working with the Washington University School of Medicine to provide early research dollars, all associated with prolonging life. The foundation is called the Longer Life Foundation. And most recently, Greig has joined the Board of Trustees of the Actuarial Foundation with his area of focus on research. We admire Greig so much and view him as a legend day in and day out, working with him closely. Greig, if anyone deserves to be honored with this award, it's you. Congratulations.